Although I am kind of excited, I think it's fair to say I'm also a little bit nervous because this will be my first ever time building a Mini ITX PC. Now, I will be recording the entire process from start to finish, so please do stick around if you want to see the rest of this. But today I'm just going to be showing you the motherboard that I've chosen, which is the Asus ROG Strix B650E-I gaming Wi-Fi board. So yeah, a little bit of a mouthful there, but I chose this because it does have a number of features that I'm excited about, and also it has been getting pretty much rave reviews on the internet. So today I'm going to unbox this, show you everything that's included, and then I will be explaining some of the features that this board has. So let's go ahead now and see inside the box itself. This is the first time I've ever seen in real life, or at least held in my hands, an ITX board, and they are very small. 17 by 17 centimeters, which I believe is 6.7 by 6.7 inches. The IO shield is already attached. Let's pop this down for a moment. So one thing I have done is opened the PDF manual, taken a copy of the design of this board, printed it out, stuck it to this bit of card here. This is also the exact same size, 170mm by 170mm, and the reason I've done this is because this is an ITX board. This is going to help out a lot when it comes to cable management. So I've seen a few people do this online. I thought it was a good tip. I'm going to give that a go myself, but I'll put this down to one side for now. I'm not going to be needing that just yet. In terms of accessories, there is a spare thermal heat pad, the Wi-Fi antenna, since this board does come equipped with Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2, cable ties, a cable that is going to be used for the front panel headers, such as the power switch, reset switch, a USB 2.0 splitter cable, a Republic of Gamers keyring, so that's pretty nice, a couple of SATA cables. I'm not actually going to need these, and then we have the documentation and manuals. So let's focus now on the board itself. I'm going to bring the camera down so we can get a little bit more up close and personal here. Okay, so the first thing to say about the board is it is an AM5 socket, which means it has been designed for Ryzen 7000 CPUs. However, I have a Ryzen 8500G, which is the current generation, the latest generation, which means I'm going to need to update the BIOS on this board before even considering getting the CPU set up in here. So I'll make another video explaining how I do that. But the other features of this board are that it has 2 RAM slots, and these are for DDR5 memory, and it has a PCI Express 16 slot for your graphics card. And it's worth noting as well that this board does support Gen 5, okay? So we are looking at a Gen 5 connector here, and also under here, under the heatsink, we have a PCI Express 5.0 slot for your NVMe drive. There is also, on the rear side, another slot here for NVMe drive. However, it's worth noting this one is Gen 4. So 8 gigabytes per second transfer rate maximum for this, and then 16 gigabytes per second transfer rate for this NVMe slot right here. There is a single 8-pin power connector just there, which is more than adequate, I would imagine. Not many people, would be my understanding, would actually go ahead and try and get a heavy overclock out of an ITX gaming build. In fact, many will do the opposite and try and undervolt their CPU for even more cooling. There are connectors here for your fans, CPU, chassis fans, and also some RGB headers, although I'm not going to be using any RGB connections in this build. Over here, we have 2 SATA connectors, a USB 2.0 connector for the front panel of your case, a USB 3 connector also for the front panel of your case. This is for up to 5 gigabits per second transfer speeds, and then also a USB-C header for up to 10 gigabits, I believe, transfer speeds per second. So quite a bit has been crammed in here on this small motherboard. I'm going to go ahead now, reset the camera, and show you the rear I/O. Before I talk about the rear I/O, I do want to mention the board itself feels to be fantastic quality. It does have a bit of weight to it, not least in part due to these hefty heat sinks here, including over the VRM chips, which do have a tendency to get quite warm. So that's really nice to see. So the I/O itself is pretty good actually for an ITX motherboard. There are two 2.0 USB slots here, a single HDMI 2.1 port, and then there are 5 10 gigabit per second ports, one of which is a USB-C port, the rest are Type A, and then there is a 20 gigabit per second USB-C port as well, and a single 2.5 gigabit LAN connector. There we have the Wi-Fi 6E connections, and I already showed you the antenna that is included. This also allows for Bluetooth 5.2. We have the audio connectors, including optical out, which is nice to see. And then we have the BIOS flash, which is what I'm going to be making use of to update the BIOS on this board without having to actually install a CPU or RAM. So folks, I think that pretty much covers everything I want to share with you about the board itself. I do want to move on with the build, but please do stick around if you want to see that. I'm also going to be making a video explaining how I'm going to upgrade the BIOS here without installing any additional hardware. Hopefully this video has been at least somewhat entertaining, and I'll catch you in the next one.